This week on True Bloods, we preview the massive game against North Melbourne and Luke Parker at Marvel Stadium.
We've got the best tagger in the game, James Jordan, live on the potty.
And we review the live show with JPK at the Riser. Like and subscribe.
It's the most one-eyed podcast.
It's what we're here to do. There is only one side in this competition. It's game-changing.
It's absolutely game-changing, Deebs.
Riddle me that, Mads.
Yeah, riddle me that, Deebs.
Do you remember? It's what we're here to do. This is True Bloods, the number one independent Sydney Swans fan podcast, and we are back in the AFL Today Studio to preview the upcoming clash against North Melbourne on Saturday night. We're going to talk about the live event and everything else Sydney Swans. I am joined, as always, by Madison Clark to my left.
Yes.
And also to my left, Polly Porridge.
Wow.
How good. We've got her live in the studio. How good's that, Faithful? How are we, team? What's going on?
Yeah, good. Was down for the live show on Saturday and decided to stay an extra few days so I could record in the studio with you boys.
Yes.
It's very
How good.
exciting.
Yes.
How's the
Great.
commitment to the team? We love that.
Commitment to the cause. How good was Saturday?
It was awesome, wasn't it, Mads? It was
Incredible.
It was a phenomenal day to the faithful who purchased a ticket and got down. And
Thank
had
you.
The prawn linguine was absolutely phenomenal.
Big prawn linguine pod.
I think that was most people's highlight, to be honest.
Oh, I think it was. There was we had the Palmers going around, and how good was the quiz? I was very happy with the quiz.
The quiz
That went
was great.
phenomenally.
The quiz was great.
did go really
It
well.
was an interesting process with the sort of last man standing raffle. Very negative game. For those of you who weren't there, we gave everyone a raffle ticket at the start, and Deebs goes, "We're doing this last man standing raffle," and he goes, "Okay, so if you hear your number called, you're out.
You
You're
don't
done.
win. You do not win."
not win."
Until the last 7 tickets were available, and then they all won a prize.
And we
was
broke it up a
fascinating.
little bit in the middle.
Yes.
Drink
Yeah,
bottles,
it wasn't 80 in consecutive raffle tickets.
But no, it was a
Hilarious.
phenomenal day down there. Thanks to everyone who.
And thanks to JPK.
JPK, he was
especially
phenomenal,
because
wasn't
he gave up a lot of his time. He was very giving of his time. He stayed for much longer than he absolutely needed to.
Came in the top 10 in the quiz.
Yeah,
So
yeah. He actually, what did he get wrong? Amount of goals he
Amount-
kicked.
Goals
Yes.
in the career.
Yeah, that was good areas. But no, fantastic. What a great bloke. Hung around for photos, so we can't thank him enough for the time that he gave us, and I'm sure he'll be involved with the pod in due course again, because he's a ripper.
For sure, mate. And there's a bit going on in Swannies land. The injury list has come out, Mads, which isn't ideal. There's
Not
a
ideal.
few players who we'd love to see back in this side who are still multiple weeks away, and it probably starts with the captain, Callum Mills, who's been delayed again. And I think 3 weeks ago, he was still 3 weeks to go.
Well, he's
And
not doing
it's-
skills yet.
Yeah, I think it's at least another 3 or 4 away. So with
not
the
good.
plantar fasciitis, Mads, in the foot,
Dr. Deeble.
it is not ideal for the skipper not to be trending in the right direction.
Hey, I mean, it's not. But again, we've spent most of the last 2 years in this position,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's not like we're not used to this
Yeah.
poll.
no,
We're not in a situation where, like, we're cooked. We don't have Callum Mills
Yeah.
there. We know how to win without Callum Mills. I'm not saying you don't need Callum Mills, faithful.
always gonna
Don't clip
take
this
him.
up and say Mads isn't a fan of Callum Mills, because I am. I'm just saying, in terms of the injuries that are there, I mean, it's par for the course at the moment. It's what we've been doing. Don't you think, Paul?
Yeah, for sure. And I keep going back to it's always good to blood some young talent. So if some more VFL guys get a call up,
Well, I
What can
feel
you
like
do?
the only natural call, because they've said, as we discussed, Paul, perhaps it hasn't been right. And he said he's had an issue in his heel. And for mine, Deep,
For yours, Mads.
that's a Cleary direct swap.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the big news probably coming this week that we didn't know about was Tom Papley out with a heel injury. So that's where we may see the likes of Cleary. But
Yep.
they sort of say it's something new with Tommy Papley with the heel.
because he seemed fine last week.
Yeah.
Seemed off first 2 games. Last week seemed fine. And this year it seems new. Something's not obviously
Yeah,
not
so
right.
it could well be something fresh, but he is someone who's had a bit of an interrupted start to the year as well. So it's a big miss having Paps out of the game, and that sort of
It's not ideal because he loves Marvel as well.
Yeah, he goes all right, but that's where it may make room for Cleary to come into the side.
Yep. I would think
Can I
so.
throw someone at you? Indy Kirk, maybe.
I think he's injured as well.
Not
No, he's
not
not.
showing enough at VFL
No, you don't
level.
think so?
I don't think so.
Did you have a close eye on him? Did
Yeah,
you?
like he just didn't have a stunning game against Collingwood. He's definitely around the fold for sure. He's
Yeah.
in that sort of next few up.
I thought I saw him that he was injured. It's good if
he
he's
had that
not.
concussion.
He's not.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, sure.
Had a concussion with
He's
the
fine
great
now.
Aaron Francis,
Yes.
who played some good VFL footy before they had the week off. But Logan McDonald's probably the one coming back into the side this week. The word is that he's going to be playing twos.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah, I don't think we'll see him at the top level, but he will be returning to the VFL out at Arden Street
on a Sunday.
On Sunday. So,
Wow.
And
Midday-ish, I believe.
it'll be a big watch. Like there's some words sort of filtering through. Does he start back? There's even sort of some word going around that he might be getting up onto a wing as well, sort of to
Interesting.
get some Ks in the leg. This is the mail. It's just
Oh,
the
here we
mail.
go. It's just the mail.
It's either going to be 10 Ks or 3/4, whatever comes
So
first.
who's some sort of boffin Twitter group?
Nah,
is this
mate,
from?
you never reveal your sources.
exactly right.
Mads.
Don't question where the mail
I
comes
want to
from.
understand sort of the auspice or the area that this is coming
Hey,
from.
mate,
I don't want the specific
all
source.
I can say is you were prefaced to this information as well, and you just didn't happen to have a look at your phone, but that's okay.
Doesn't sound like me to sort of just scan my eyes over something and not read it. But yeah, look, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting,
A
but
real,
yeah.
really modified sort of playing time he's on.
I was going to say that's what I wanted to see. I didn't want him coming straight back into the team. McLean had to make his way back into the team. I think it's only right that Logie has to as well. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how he goes on Sunday.
But this is just the mail, so I could well be wrong. But yeah, I think Logan's just one we have to see come through the twos.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be taking the same opinion of Millsy when he comes
Yes.
back. It doesn't matter that he's the skipper. We saw it last year. It took him a little while to get going after he had those big absences of footy. So I think it's only right that, Logan gets 2 or 3 weeks at VFL, and then if he's tearing it up, 100%, get him back into the side. But
Well, if it's going to happen, if you're going to get injured again, it's going to happen at VFL as well as it's going to happen at
He also
AFL.
had not a very strong preseason.
No.
As in he didn't train for very long, so he needs just time.
Logan has had no preseason.
No preseason, so yeah, that's
He's
right.
come off
Yeah.
the surgery and hasn't been able to get
Yeah.
it right. He's been
Yeah.
delayed, so there's no doubt he'll be getting a game or two down in the VFL. Taylor Adams has also had a setback with another hamstring, so at least 4 to 6 weeks away.
Makes it hard.
Yeah.
Makes it hard.
It does. When he was sort of, looking to lock down his position in the side, we come up against Parks this week, but that was the idea, right? He was sort of going to come into that Luke Parker role, and it just hasn't quite come together for old TA.
Yeah, it's not ideal, especially at that age. Not that he's, terribly old,
31,
but
I
it's just
think,
a
yeah.
history of these sort of injuries, and it's just hard to come back from, isn't it?
And we can keep going, Mads, because it's a long injury list, and it is as long as your arm. Have a look at it. Robbie
getting longer.
Fox has also had a delay in his calf, which from experience, I've done a calf or two in my time, and
And
they
they're
take,
mighty big calves, I'll tell you that, Faith.
they take it all the time they need. And when you sort of nick them again when you're on the comeback trail, they're just so hard to get right. And you hear a lot of these guys who sort of make their way out of the system and they're like, I just kept nicking my calf. They're a really hard thing to get right. And it's really disappointing because we really need a player like Robbie Fox who's versatile, can go forward, back. That's what Coxie spoke about in the preseason so much, was how versatility is so important to the side.
Yes.
And that's what Robbie Fox provides.
Yes. Although I still have nightmares about him being forward.
Yes. For sure.
Big nightmares.
sure.
But yeah, it's not ideal, is it?
And then to
Calf.
sort of round out the players, Lewis Melican's sort of 1 to 2 weeks away.
Lewis Melican.
Same with Cunningham.
Yeah.
And Cunningham with the, what's he got, Mads? The foot injury, the old Liz Frank.
Liz Frank.
The Liz Frank, which is starting to come
Jeez,
good.
we miss Cunningham.
Yeah.
do.
Who
Yeah.
plays now? Wixie's playing, probably a comparable role, but geez, we miss Cat. He's just so reliable, Faithful. He's so reliable. That's what we miss. We miss the speed, Missed the penetrative kick.
And it's such an important position,
Yeah.
Paul.
Yes.
Like playing that half back, locking down a small forward. Harry's so important to us.
So important. When we came up against Brisbane and he wasn't in the team, I was devastated. And then Charlie Cameron didn't play, so it didn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
But would love to see him just back on the park. I would love to see him linking up with Wixie, honestly. I would like to see them both in the team. Don't know how
Good.
that could go, but I don't know who needs to come out for that to work. But
Yeah.
I would love to see it.
Well,
Yeah.
like you say, it's like no Cameron in that day, but Bailey tore us up.
Correct.
Right? So he won them the game.
There's
Yeah.
always roles for stopping small
Exactly
forwards, right?
right.
There's always going to be multiple opportunities to do that. Jesse Detoli, still during his stress fracture rehabilitation.
I have a feeling we won't see him this year.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you're
He's
young,
a
you've got
first year
time.
player. Like, it's just not, I just think he'll probably come back to the VFL. And by the time he's back, it'll be so late in the season that there's not really a point for him coming into the team, hopefully at that point. So I think we won't see him until next year.
We'll find out about Errol in about a week's time when he has a chat to the surgeon, Paul. And you may have, I'm sure you watched the pod last week. It'll be sort of like King Arthur coming back from the Crusades. Which,
Are you sure?
Which
Are you sure about
I
that?
know isn't historically accurate. Thank you very much. I'm aware of that. It's never let the truth get in the way of a good yarn.
That's exactly
Exactly
right.
You know, we love a little bit of mayo here at True Bloods. We're a big QP pod.
Big love
Kewpie
a bit of
pod.
Kewpie.
But yeah, look, so I did a North Melbourne podcast last night, and
Yes.
then I sort of said, "Oh, we've got a few injuries," and they're like, "Oh, do you?" And then it's like, "Yeah." I started rattling him off. He's like, "Yeah, you really do." And
Yeah.
this is what isn't getting brought up in the media at the moment: is our injury list is as long as anyone's, and the
Longer.
fact that we were able to battle out that win against Freo holds us in
Away.
and the sort of same thing is this week. It's us against them, and we come down to Melbourne. We've
We
got
love
more
Melbourne.
injuries. We've got no Tommy Papley this week, and we just got to saddle up, next man up, and go again.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more in the preview. Where do you, Tom McCartan, where do you have him?
Oh,
He's
well,
back.
he's back. He's back. Well, I think the inclusion of McLean last week just straightens us
Mate,
up so much.
It really does, doesn't it?
It does. He goes forward. He applies forward pressure like a small, and he competes well in the
I
air,
reckon
brings it
could
to
be-
ground.
It could be a big day for Hayden McLean.
Yes.
Yeah, I
The
think-
big DOS.
I think he's one that would have probably enjoyed the break after, getting the 3 or 4 quarters into him against Freo. Got the week's break, able to taper off a little bit and then build up again for this week because they've got some pretty, tall defenders back there for North. So we'll definitely need DOS up and firing.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Can I say something about McCartan playing forward?
Of course
Absolutely
you can.
I haven't seen anyone else say this, and I just wanted to bring it up.
Yep.
I think the thing I like about McCartan playing forward, even though he will be playing black until Melbourne is back, there's too many names in
There
our
is.
team,
Yeah.
is that he is less likely to get concussed if he's playing forward. And if that extends out his playing career, then I'm fine with him playing forward. Obviously, he's a phenomenal backman. I'm not going to deny that. And he looks more suited to that role. But I would love to just have him in the team, even if that means he has to play forward.
Do you reckon he's less likely? Be interesting to see
the
numbers
way
on that.
he goes about his style, he's more
Yeah,
he
Less
puts
running
himself in
back.
danger. He
Yeah.
puts himself in danger a lot
Yeah.
when he's playing back. He doesn't do. I haven't seen him do it as much
Yeah,
playing
sure.
forward.
Sure.
And so that's just something I've noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Fair
sure.
enough.
They'll be interested to see the numbers on that, but look, you just got to back them in wherever they're playing, right? And that they're still 100% committed, running at the contest, and that's all you can ask. But it's good to see Tommy back, go back. He had those 4 intercept marks against Freo, which we really were missing in those
Yes.
first 3 weeks. Although Tracy did kick the 4 goals, I think Tommy reads the ball probably better than anyone we've
Yep.
got
Yeah.
in that back line. So it's just it's funny how much McLean just straightens us up.
Yeah,
Yes.
structurally,
Yeah.
it really helped. It gives a lot. The flow and effect from having McLean there is felt all across the ground. Even at the ruck position.
Well, what I was
right?
going to say, it's nice to see him not have to pinch hit. As much as I love him as a pinch hitter, it's nice to see him just being able to focus on forward for a while with Lightums being in the team.
It's good to have the option
Yes.
anyway. Like that. That's just mentally to know. We've got different
Avenues.
strings to our bow
Yeah.
here.
For sure. Now, who wears number 29 for the Swannies?
Joel Hamling.
Joel Hamling. He's one who's come in and covered for Melican, right?
Yes.
That's probably the position on the ground that we could not have afforded to lose anyone.
Correct.
Lewis Melican goes down.
We're light on key forwards.
Light on key backs.
Yeah, key backs.
Yeah,
sorry.
right.
Up,
And
back, down, forward. Yeah.
That's it, same thing. But Joel Hamling coming in, playing his position really well,
That's
being
right.
sturdy. It's great to have that cover for Lewis Melican because I think a lot of teams would be caught short if, their key, centre half back, full back went down. And I think Joel's playing a really important role at the moment.
Yeah,
The
I
best-
wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, the best compliment I can give to Joel is when I saw him on the ground, I kept thinking he was McCartan. And I'm like, if you look like Tommy McCartan back there, then you're probably doing a good job.
There's a little bit about it,
Yeah.
isn't there? Yeah, for sure. And Mads is a big fan of that right boot.
Massive fan. It
Yes.
penetrates. You want to be able to sort of put it over centre half back if you're getting it out of there. And big clearing kick, man.
Yeah, mate, fair enough. It's a really good thing to have in
It's critical.
your repertoire, Mads. It's something
Indeed.
you just need.
But look, we'll talk more about that in the preview. It's going to be if we can jag another W here away, Jesus, bloody massive.
It's big for the season.
Yeah,
big for the
huge.
season. Well, we might wrap it up there quickly and then we'll jump into the preview.
Welcome back to True Bloods.
Yes.
We face the North Melbourne Kangaroos. We come to play.
Yes.
At Marvell Stadium this Saturday night. And guys, if we can finish off Saturday night 2-2, that is just enormous.
Huge.
That is enormous for the situation that we're in
Yes.
currently, having to be away for the last 2 weeks.
Well, we don't play a game home until round 6. So we played round 1 at home and we don't play again at home till round 6.
That is absolutely berserk.
It's a
Yet Collingwood can play 17.
Yeah.
Games
it's
at the MCG.
the worst fixturing. It's because gather rounds next week.
Gather round.
And
yeah.
so-
God, they do it tough, the Pies, don't they? Jeez.
Anyway.
Into a Mads.
But it's a massive opportunity for us to get out of a potentially problematic situation with our injury list currently.
Yes.
And now it is the Pink, Constanti, Parker, Grant, Schwass Cup.
Yes.
Have I left anyone out
I
there?
guess Halls
Have we got any North Melbourne players who have come to the Swans?
Schwass?
Yeah.
No, I
Wayne
think
Schwass?
current.
day. There's no one.
I don't think
no,
so.
I don't
Not that I
think
can
so.
think of. It's,
Well, I mean, we didn't really go looking at North
No,
Melbourne
I-
previously.
I-
Their profile has risen of late.
Yes. Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
I greatly respect what they've been able to do. They have.
It is about time, though.
But you've seen a list blossom. You've seen they've had a lot of priority picks. They've had a lot of high draft picks. You're seeing a list mature.
It
and-
probably is a bit late, but
Yeah, well, I mean, it's taken a while, right?
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, we've got them at a really tough time because they're actually playing some decent footy.
for sure.
Couldn't get the win last week.
Yeah.
he said
Yeah,
Stevens.
I
He said
said
Stevens.
Yeah.
He,
And look, I personally think they probably copped a bit of a reality check on the weekend against
they
the
did.
Crows, right?
Yes.
And I don't think that's probably getting played up enough either. It's,
I
like
reckon they-
it's all happy families down at North when, they've knocked over the D's at
Ooh.
Marvel, right? It's like, oh, North ball. And then they, get a tough game over in Adelaide and they get flogged by 6-7 goals. So,
well, I mean, I reckon Melbourne are decidedly lower on the power rankings than people otherwise would have expected. But I
that's
actually
very
think
privy to my point.
Adelaide are quite good.
High.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying North are necessarily a finals team at the moment, but the fact of the matter is we've got them at Marvel, got them away. We do like Marvel, but
So
it's
do
not.
they.
This is not the fixture that it used to be. This is not the we'll walk in and have a percentage booster in any way, shape, or
Nah,
form.
100%. And I'm on board with that as well. It's so they're definitely not the easy beats of the competition anymore. And, they've got that quality through the middle of the ground. I think Jai Sim can play some great footy. LDU. And I think that's probably who I would go to with JJ personally. I think he's their game breaker. And Harry Sheasler as well, spending some time at halfback. We'll find some time in the middle. And, they've got the great Luke Parker in the middle as well, Mads.
Let's talk about that.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a really scintillating battle. I don't think Luke Parker is going to give an inch, and I think he's going to be pretty fiery
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
I want us to go back twice as hard. There's no love lost.
No.
It's when there's 4 points on the line, it's go out and earn the 4 points for the Bloods. And whatever Luke Parker's done for us in the past, that does not matter when that siren goes. Yes, he will always be a Swans legend, but it's go out, crash, and get physical with him. Why not?
Well,
Why not?
we need the 4 points. We need to win the game, and the best way to do it is to, dull people's impact on the game. And one of those people is Luke Parker, who we know can be damaging. And I think it's important to get physical. It's incredibly important to get physical.
I think it just sets the tone from a team point of view, right? It's what we're here to do. We're undermanned. We're going to be the ones going in there and setting the tone. And I want to see the physicality on the weekend.
Would you get stuck into him? Not you personally, but would your say Polly Porridge is in the coach's box? Is your directive?
Send Rowie to him.
Send
Rowie
into
straight to him. So
Yeah.
get it. Like, he is probably the most experienced player on this list. He is the person that's really, I think, leading this team. Not on the so much in the stats, but just bringing a lot to this team that they didn't have before.
Yep.
And you need to nullify that. Doesn't matter if he's still wearing the same number. It doesn't matter if he's just still in white, but now there's blue. You just gotta take him on. And I think for a lot of our boys, as bad as it sounds, most of them didn't play with him for very long. So I don't think they're going to care as much as we think that they will.
Yeah, some of the older guys. That's a
Yeah.
good point to bring up. Now, probably the battle I'm looking forward to, and this guy will be my early invitation to the party, to bring
Early.
the
The
doozies to the
doozy
party.
invitation to the party.
It's Brodie Grundy on Cherry.
Yeah, it's massive.
It's
Cherry's
huge.
Cherry's the best ruckman in the league for mine.
For yours, Mads. It's Brodie's probably coming off, that who knows how much that little knee knock interrupted his pre-season, but he probably hasn't been at the level that we want him to be.
I still think he's labouring.
Has he been serviceable? Yes, but I really want to see him take this game by the horns. We saw him get subbed off against Freo. Is that a little indication to how the body was going? I don't know. Will we get
He
that
got poked
insight?
in the eye as well in that game, which I think people forgot. And
Yes.
so I don't think the subbing off was necessarily just on form. I think it was probably there was a bit of a niggle in his eye and it was just for safety. But yeah, I do think it will be a good test. And it will be a good test to see how Laddams also goes against Jerry.
Just one.
Does Laddams hang around?
I think so.
Probably. But just getting back to
sorry.
Brodie Grundy, I do not want to see him get pushed off the ball on the
No.
week. And we saw that against Lloyd Meek in opening round. He got monstered off the footy. And Cherry is that big body. I do not want to see that happen on the weekend. You plant your feet and you don't get moved. He's known for his strength. I really want Brodie Grundy to lift to the level and, start putting it down some of our mids' throats. If we can get the ball in the hands of Chad bursting out of packs, we know how much we love that little bit of scoreboard impact from the Chad.
midfielders.
Right, and Jimmy Jordan, we had 10 clearances last week against Freo. It's these are the guys we need Brodie to help get going.
And I think it gives an opportunity for a lot of people to step up. If you look at the last time that we played them, Errol Goulden had 41 disposals, Tom Papley had 4 goals, and Logan McDonald had 4 goals. None of them are there. So it's a really good opportunity for people to get busy. Do you think Hanley plays?
It's going to be an interesting one. So,
Think he has to, right? Without Paps.
yeah, he's going to be the small forward pressure.
This is the thing, because does Cleary come in and, is there an opportunity? Will Cleary maybe be sub or something like that? But I think if Hanley's there, this is a moment for him to stamp his authority and announce that he's, a player, because there's an opportunity there. There's no Papley.
Oh, well, I think it has been quite a strength of us is the forwards being able to bring the ball to ground.
Yeah.
Amadi has had no problems, doing that so far this year. And the same as McLean coming in, he can offer that too. So if Hanley can get to the feet of these two and snag a couple of, front and centre goals, that'll just get everyone going, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, who are you inviting to the party?
I'm going to go BC this week.
Yes.
He was good last week, a little bit fumbly. Would just
Yeah.
like to see him clean that up, and I think he's going to have a massive game.
Yeah. Beautiful.
For yours,
Love it,
Mads?
Love it. For mine, Isaac Heaney.
Yeah.
He's been playing a different role. He's been doing playing the role, doing it well, playing more of an inside role. I want to see him hitting the scoreboard this week.
Yes.
I know he's been doing that, but I just want to see it a little bit more prolifically from a man who I know can very much tear the game open, especially at Marvel as well.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
loves getting it done at Marvel. So I'd like to see him really impacting the game in a dominant manner.
For sure. It's going to be a big day for the back six. You know, they've got the Suv, who he would be my number one player. If I could pick someone to play for the Schwannies, it'd be Nick Larkin. That's who I'd want, right? And then they've had Darling come into the side, and that's sort of released Zerha, who's been able to hit the scoreboard, and they've got Paul Curtis running around up forward as well.
Zerha gets down there.
Yeah, so it's a big day for the back six.
Yeah.
Like Hamling's got to get his job done. Tommy's got to get his job done. And then, the likes of Sammy Wicks probably goes to Curtis and he locks him down. It's a big day for the back six.
Yeah,
Mads.
massive, absolutely massive. And it's a great opportunity, right? Because that is where they're probably flying because Suv, he seldom drops a mark and he seldom misses a set shot, right? He's, to echo your sentiments, Deebs, of anybody I'd like at the Swans, it'd be Nick Larkin. So it's a massive job for Tom McCartan.
I was going to say, do you think Tommy or Hamling?
I think it's Tom McCartan.
Yeah.
I think you got to go with, the trusted player in this role to take on a big key forward. It's not to say that you can't make that change if it's not working. And I still want to see a little bit more of that. We haven't seen, key forward really get a hold of us in a significant manner like that. I know Tom got 4 kicked on him, but it was a bit different, right?
Yeah.
But if Larky can kick 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Right, he can do that. If he's getting a hold of us early, I definitely want to see a change.
Well, as we said sort of last week, it comes back to that line before, and we noticed a little bit the mids getting sucked in to sort of on that offensive side of the contest, and then they're sort of able to walk it into their forward line, and Tracy was just hitting up on the lead, right? We cannot let that happen with the Suv leading out at you.
Especially because you've got guys like Sheasel.
Distributing.
They're bloody good kick, right? And you just can't allow that to happen again. Because we're under the roof here. You should be kicking accurately, and that's what can come, bring you undone.
Yeah, so going back to sort of team selection, do you think, as you were bringing up before, Laddams holds his spot?
Yeah.
I think just based on the fact I've been pretty clear about how I'm feeling about Brodie Grundy.
Yeah.
And I want to see your thoughts on this too, Paul. I think because of that, I think having Laddams there is good. I think I like the idea of having McLean, Grundy and Laddams because I reckon their backline's a bit suspect and I reckon you can try and stretch them, and that's why it's good having McLean down there because he's a good contested grab. I think because Sherry's so powerful, I think it's good to have Laddams there. Thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. When you have the person who's probably pushing AA ruck selection, you're
pushing. He's a
lock at this point. I mean, it's only 3 weeks in, but still, it'd be shocking if he doesn't win it. You want to have every opportunity at your disposal, and if Brodie is carrying something, which I think he is, but I don't know, it's hard to say.
Just a bit banged up anyway.
I think it's good to have him in there. I was very, very critical of Pete Laddams. I will more than willing to come and say I was very, very critical of Pete Laddams in that first quarter against Freo. And he turned it around. And when Brodie got subbed off and it was just Pete out there, I was shitting myself. I was like, what have we done, Coxie? We're going to lose this game because you've taken Brodie off the field. And he showed that I was completely wrong. And Pete can hold his own. So I think he stays in. There's no reason to kick him out of the team.
I think you're both a little bit off the mark because we know Pistol Pete plays off the half-back line now. He runs off the galloping bloody
It's him and Lizard off a flank each.
But yeah, look, I think it comes down to a bit of how fit McLean is.
Yep.
I think that the game against Freo was his first hit out and they sort of got the game time into him and we didn't see him play much in the ruck, but that was McLean's spot in the side last year, was chopping out Grundy. So I'm not too sure. Like when you talk like an ideal setup, whether we want all three of them, but
who comes in that's the question.
Yeah. So who have we got in the twos?
Francis.
You got Francis who could come in. You've got Cleary, who
Cleary.
will come in.
Yeah.
Benny Patton had 30-odd in
Oh,
the
true,
twos.
yeah.
I think
a bit
it's a bit
short.
different with Ben.
I
I
think-
just don't want to be too short. That's
Yeah.
all.
Well, look, we're definitely not too short at the
Yeah.
moment. We
No.
are the tallest team
Yeah.
in the league. It's unreal how many talls we're playing.
But they're pretty tall as well,
Yeah.
right? When you look at Charlie Comden, Core's not that massive, but you've just, I just don't see any reason to bring him out, to be honest. And McLean, you make a good point with his health. I think it was good to get, as you said before, get the game time into it,
yeah.
and then you get another week off. So it'll be interesting to
Yeah,
see.
so look, team dynamics play a huge thing, and it's probably something we haven't seen in the way we've played so far this year. That run and gun and handball chain where it's like it doesn't come naturally or on your taller players, but
Yep.
we are naturally probably a little bit taller.
What do you think?
Look, I think he probably stays in this week, but if it doesn't work this week, I don't want to see all them
I mean,
playing.
Yeah.
it's a pretty easy fix, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
pretty
one of them
easy
comes
fix,
out, Eshe comes out,
And it'll probably
and McLean
be-
stays forward
Well,
and chops
because
out.
you're going to have that issue. You're going to have to make that change anyway when Logan comes
I was about
back.
to say the exact same thing. Yeah, as soon as Logie's fit, Laddams probably comes out of the team, and it is what
I
it is.
don't- horses, of course. It depends who's
or
playing.
Laddams
Yeah.
will, be keeping his
Or
spot.
Laddams is in top 10 voting for all Australian at the ruck level. Who knows?
For sure, and we've probably touched on it earlier on, but who do you think JJ should go to?
Well, you reckon LDU?
Yeah, I do, personally.
I mean,
It's sort of. Do you see how the game sort of plays
yeah,
out?
no,
and-
he's damaging.
He
He's
is.
damaging. I also think Sheasel's damaging.
Yeah, that's the
It's
one.
been a bit quiet. That's all. So
yeah, but I mean, that's
but it's. I mean, yeah, it is.
he's that good.
And
under the
Sheasel has
radar, but-
comparable numbers to a Nick Dacos.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about
Put
to
it
say
against.
it's not outrageous to make the comparison to
No,
Nick Dacos.
of course not.
He
He's
just
a
doesn't have the
fantastic
weapons
player.
around him
Yes.
that Nick Dacos does.
Yeah.
So I would probably prefer him on a Sheasel. As I said, you can be agile mid-game though.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
yeah, as Coxie said in the interview, like that's the kind of players they want. They want to be able to change, and JJ is that for them. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see him kind of float a little bit, until they kind of figure out who's going to make that impact.
Now, I'll tell you who it is a big game for.
Who's that?
Right, this guy, we nearly blew a gasket with this guy last week. And I reckon I might have just gone from your guys' minds, but it's Nick Blakey. It's
Yeah.
no more.
No, if you
Double
double fisted
If
again,
there is a double fister, like within 25 metres, not from the boundary, right? If you are within that central 50 metres and you go the double fister, I'm going to blow a gasket, Lizard. So just no double fisters. They're done.
Deebs will be
See you later.
flying up to
the problem
Sydney.
is he's got great mitts.
He does. Back in the mitts. It's low in confidence in his mark. That is why he's going the double fist. But
There's not a directive to double fist it at centre half forward. I can tell you that much.
for sure.
There is no directive to double fist it at centre half forward.
He has, it's very well known that Nick Blakey has the license to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Apparently so.
Apparently so. I think, Coxie, let's rein this one in a bit. Just that. Keep him doing whatever else he wants. Just stop it with the double fisting.
Yeah, that's it. Cannot do it. But it's a big game for Bicey and Liz off that half back line, isn't it? It's we really need to get that run and gun
Massive.
getting in our game.
Who's excited to see Bicey
Bicey,
again?
man.
As
Let's go.
I've been going with,
Ice ball.
Bicey has filled the big hole. Another 26 is left in my heart. I don't even care about another 26 anymore. Bicey is the one for me.
Yes. Big Bice guy.
Big Bice
Big
guy.
Bice pod.
But yeah, you just see you get the ball in the hands of your good decision makers, Mads. And I think that's what Bicey is. And Lizard has the ability to pull off kicks that no one else can. And when you've got the perfect conditions under the lid at Marvel, it's time for these guys to break the game open so we can start hitting the scoreboard. Because that's the one thing we haven't done so far this year is really kick a score.
Yeah.
And we know North can be vulnerable to conceding a score. So it's time for those halfbackers, that drive in our offensive game to get going and take the game on and get that scoreboard pressure on opposition.
And that's the thing. You're correct in saying they can have scores kicked against them. I think they average just under 100 points kicked against them each week. So we've got to really sort of isolate that and make sure we really punish them.
I was going to say, if we're thinking about talking scores, we just need to be like that forward line last 2 weeks ago. I've already forgotten how we had a bye. just go for goal.
Yeah, have a shot.
Just have a shot.
Have a
Like,
ping.
I think there's a little bit of lack of self-belief at the moment with some of our forwards.
Yeah.
Don't need to name names. But just have the shot. You're better off getting the point than turning it over.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure. We
simple
want to
as
see him
that.
have pings. You've got
Yeah.
the license.
You've got
From
the
the True
license.
Bloods
Right.
team, you've got the license.
What I do want to see, I want to make sure that if I come out of it, even if hypothetically,
Yes.
if we lose this game and we come out of it and our skills have been clean and we've just got, beaten by a better side.
Yeah.
I think the skills side of it, because we've been so fumbly, it's just made it look a lot harder than it actually is. You can make the game of football look very difficult, Deeble,
Yes,
when your
And
fundamental skills aren't up to scratch. We know that's what we hang our hat on. I really want to see the skills at an elite level.
I think we will. I have faith because the 2 games we're kind of comparing to had god-awful, 3 actually had god-awful conditions. Last 2 weeks ago, it was hot at 35 degrees in WA. It was humid and hot against Brisbane, and it was pouring down rain towards the end of the Hawthorn game.
Yeah.
It's under the roof. I don't know what the weather's forecast is for Saturday, but it shouldn't be too bad. And
you
I
would think
we're,
that, but then did you watch last Friday night?
Yeah.
Because they made a meal
that's
of that.
2 god-awful teams. Let's not compare ourselves to
Sure.
those 2 teams.
But yeah, now look, and I think that would have been a big focus during the week. Here's the extra touch sessions. You got the week off.
Yep.
Get the ball in the hands. It's like the likes of your man. You've invited him, Haynes. Like we saw him fumble a few times in the contest.
Yep.
He would have been to work on that. I got
for
no
sure.
doubt. And we're back in our mids. And so I suppose the question is, Swannies by how far?
6 goals.
Yeah, nice.
That's gonna go
Confident.
5.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt.
I reckon.
Snags.
Yeah, I reckon. If we should flex a muscle here. We
Yeah,
really
yeah.
should flex a muscle here.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we can announce ourselves that we, as diehard supporters, know we're a bit up against it at the moment, and if we can go in and get this dub and do it nicely, that'd just be so big for morale.
What grand
Big
final
morale,
hangover?
bud.
That's it. Alrighty, we'll jump into the rest of the tips now. Tips, Mads, this week, how did you go, buddy?
Not well at all. I'll pull it up. Not well at all.
Polly porridge, you're battling a little bit as well over there.
I'm pretty
aren't
sure
you?
I'm coming 91st.
I
Might
got
even be coming
5.
97th
I got
now. 93rd.
5.
I'm currently coming 93rd out of 201.
That's all right.
Not
Oh,
193rd.
193rd. Yeah, geez, you're pushing shit up real.
I'm
Not
going
good.
for the spoon now. I've called it.
That's it.
I tipped Port. I tipped the Dogs.
Yes.
I tipped Melbourne, which is weird.
Wow.
It's weird for
Weird.
you. That's
No,
weird.
I just thought, surely they
Surely
get the
the
job
Suns
done.
don't win away from home.
Yeah,
And-
I tipped the 7 out of 8, and I've taken over Clarko, so
Wow.
I'll be taking over the Premier tipping
You
from
can.
now.
You
Yeah.
can. Wow,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
It won't be me, that's for sure.
Very good. Thursday night footy. How good's consistent Thursday night footy? It's fantastic. We got Collingwood and Carlton. Will be you making your way down there in the MCC, Madison Clark?
No.
No,
Okay,
giving it
fair
a miss.
enough.
No.
Interesting.
No.
Normally
No,
that's
I'm,
normally
uh,
that's
Not a
the game
Thursday
for you.
night.
Yeah, well, that's I've got stuff to do, but
Sure.
I think Carlton, if they lose this game, SEN will be the best listing in the history
The implosion.
of SEN, because Voss may not see round 6.
Yeah, he may not be around.
Yeah.
If they
He
lose.
may, yeah,
The implosion will be huge.
yeah, massive
For sure.
So I just, it's hard.
So you're tipping the Pies?
I'm tipping the Pies.
Oh,
Yeah, I
sure.
think so
Comfortably.
as well. Geelong and Melbourne down at GMHBA Friday night footy.
Geelong
Geelong.
by a mile, Melbourne are putrid.
Yeah, they're done.
Yep,
Dynasty done.
End of an
This is
era.
a good game.
Yeah, it's things we love to see, faithful. Gold Coast v Adelaide.
That's a good
People's
game.
first.
Adelaide.
I'm going Gold Coast because they're playing at home.
Adelaide are a good football
I'm
side.
going to disagree there. I don't reckon they've beaten much chop so far. Gold Coast for
They're just
mine.
good
Sure
forwards.
for yours.
There's a lot of hype around the Crows. Just have to see
forwards.
it. It's it's April. It's so early on, and people are talking top 8, top 4 for the Crows. Look, time will tell, but I'm not sold yet.
Don't bookmark that.
Richmond and Brisbane at the MCG.
Brisbane.
Brisbane. GWS and the Gold and the West Coast. Sorry, at NG.
GWS.
NG, GWS.
They are shocking.
They're no good
appalling.
either.
They're done. Oscar Allen wants to leave the club.
How would you? This is a great discussion point, actually. How would you feel if Millsy had a meeting with an opposition team?
It's not good.
It's
but
bad.
This is why I can't stand the footy media. Like it's just I find all of this so boring.
You
It's
know
like
what?
it's not trade period. It's not trade
Well,
period.
no, they say this is when the conversations happen.
Sure,
yeah,
but
I know. But
What do you think the solution is there?
No,
Do you think it should be more regimented, as in you should only have specific times to talk to people, or should it just be free reign?
Definitely, there should be times
Specific
that you can
periods.
talk to people. Yeah, because this is just all ridiculous. I want to talk. What I want to hear about is why West Coast is so bad from a strategy.
Well, because their captain wants to leave.
No, you're right. Yeah, sure. But I mean, from a pure football analysis perspective,
I'm with you.
It takes away
Yes.
from all of the actual game itself, and just goes on rumours and
Yes.
hearsay
And the
innuendo.
thing is, as well, if it wasn't West Coast, I don't think people would even know. It's just they are so obsessed.
their
the
media is worse than ours.
Yeah,
that's
so,
true.
yeah.
But yeah, either way, they're in a world of hurt
For sure.
There's no
And
reason why you'd
GWS
want to
get
go
it
there.
done.
PWS didn't get it done. They looked good against the Hawks,
Wink,
even
wink,
in
nudge,
the
nudge.
wind.
Chad, why would you want to go there, bruh? Port versus St Kilda at the Adelaide Oval, Sunday.
God, that's an awful game. That's going to be bad.
Porter in strife. It's funny, they've just fallen off the cliff, haven't they?
Yeah.
so
Yeah, they
far?
have. Well, this succession plan doesn't seem to be working.
No.
Because I think it's the Josh Carr game plan happening now with the Ken Hinkley at the helm. The Sunrise cash cow is going to have to get in there and start figuring some things out, ladies and gentlemen, because something's just not working.
Absolutely.
I don't
I'm
think
with
the
you
Saints can win away, though. So I
there.
definitely
Saints had a good win against, what was it, Geelong a week or two ago. I think,
Just.
yeah, I'm going to back in the Saints there. I think Porter done, as you say.
Yeah, I think Saints.
And the Grenache Hour, Freo versus West Coast. Western Bulldogs, I should say. Freo
Whereabouts?
versus Western Bulldogs, Optus.
In Optus. I'm going Freo. I don't know if the Dogs can do it away from home.
Dogs just keep showing. There's
They're gritty, gutsy,
gritty.
They
gutsy.
are.
And
They're-
Freo aren't. So
Yeah, they've got a comparative
Yeah,
sort of,
Freo wussy boys.
they sure are.
they've got an injury list sort of as long as ours,
Yes.
the Bulldogs, a lot of their superstars as well. So I'm impressed with what they're doing, but I do think Freo still might take the W over
I'm going to
there.
let it ride with Western Bulldogs.
Sure.
Roll on. Roll
That's it.
tide.
Roll
Essendon and
Tide.
Hawthorn have a bye.
Very good. I think that just about wraps us up, doesn't it?
It does,
It's been a
Dable.
pleasure. It's been, no.
We're not wrapping it up.
We're not wrapping it up. We're thrown to the James Jordan interview. Here it is. Welcome back to True Bloods, and we have the pleasure of being joined by the number one tagger in the comp. It's James Jordan. How are you, mate? Thanks for joining us here on True Bloods.
I'm going well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No, we've been actually you've been on the target zone for us for a while, JJ. Your profile's been growing and growing since going to the Bloods, and we want to get stuck into that. But we also wanted to sort of take the faithful. We call our listeners and watchers the faithful, JJ. Wanted to take them through a bit of your early days. And let them know sort of James Jordan in the beginning. So you were in Yarrawonga, were you?
Yeah, grew up in Yarrawonga. So went on my school down there, and then ventured down to Caulfield Grammar, where I boarded there for year 11 and 12, and played a lot of footy and cricket down there.
Yeah, very good. I'm a fellow Caulfield Grammar boy as well, JJ. I was a
Good
few
stuff.
years ahead of you, but it's we love it down at Caulfield. Out there on the mills, played some good footy down there, as I'm sure you did as well.
Yeah, absolutely. How good.
Yeah, very good. And mate, look, you started your career out at the D's, and found your way at the level. You played your 60-odd games there, spent a fair bit of time as sort of the sub in and out of the main team, and you ended up making your way to the Swans. Just how that sort of played out in the initial stages. Obviously, a bit of a funny way how it unfolded, having been delisted at one stage and that making you eligible as a delisted free agent. Can you just talk us through the initial chats with the club and how that all unfolded?
Yeah, probably just started just with a few conversations, sort of with my manager and my family as well about where he sees my footy's at the moment and where we can get the best out of ourselves and and then he said that Sydney were keen to have a meeting and I met with Horse and Charlie Gardner and Kinnear and I walked out of that meeting pretty set on I knew that where I wanted to be.
For sure, and you're a Swan supporter as a kid as well. It's always a question you see come up in when they're talking trade, whether it sort of has a bit of a sway when you supported the Swannies as a kid. Was that just a nice little touch when the Swans do show some interest?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you go from loving them, and then you get drafted to another team, and then all of a sudden you hate them, and then you're back. Yeah, you find your way back there, and it's worked out good in the end.
I've always been fascinated by that. When you say you hate them, do you actually look at the Swans and you go, I used to love you, now I hate you, you're the enemy? Is that how it goes, or do you still have that soft spot?
Oh, I think there's always that soft spot,
Yeah.
but everyone's the enemy when you're not on that team.
Sure. And obviously getting to the Swans, what did you initially? What did you sort of notice? What did you see were the big differences between your time at Melbourne and the Swans?
I think just like the age gap, such a young core group of, boys around my age. And, that was really appealing to me to come here about, some of the players that we've got at the moment. It's pretty special. And, something that, they sort of pitched to me was what we can sort of build together over the next, not just now, but the future as well.
Yeah, for sure. And phenomenal first year you had, mate. To come into, a pretty successful side, coming off a final series in 23 and then last year, playing some sensational footy, being 3 games clear, halfway through the year. How'd you find that, like, the first, 6 to 12 rounds and making your way into the side?
Yeah, it was awesome. You probably couldn't have asked for a much better start to the year last year. And I think that was off the back of a very good preseason that we had, and similar to this year, although we didn't win the first 2 games, we had a very strong preseason, and I feel like we're just playing as good footy as what we were this time last year.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what it's about, is sort of just having the confidence within that everything's going right and, getting everything on the right track. And, yeah, how have you seen sort of the season so far? Oh, look, let's go stay on last year. The final series last year was pretty phenomenal, like an amazing prelim against the Giants, being able to work our way into that game and then, having a pretty, non-issue
Of a prelim,
a
yep.
prelim against Port.
Yeah.
It would have been a phenomenal final series to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the SCG was rocking there, and they helped us win games, the fans, and it was pretty cool running out there and into a packed SCG, and I loved it. It was awesome, and hopefully we can go one better.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So, I mean, what did you sort of learn from that experience? Obviously, it's not the best outcome. We spoke to Coxie earlier in the year, a couple of weeks ago before the season. He said there was a pretty significant review done of the game. I don't want to harp on it, but what did you individually take from that?
It was just Brisbane came to play on the day in that first half, and they probably just beat us up around the ball in that first half, and we had a good review. We had some good conversations around all of that, and it's good just to get it all out there as well, and to move on with that.
Yeah, for sure. Deal with what's happened, and then you're half a chance of being able to deal with it moving forward. And the big thing of the off season was Horse hanging up the whistle, and then Coxie taking on the senior coaching roles. How have you found the transition with Coxie, and what's that meant for you in the midfield group?
Yeah, I guess the transition's been pretty seamless internally, and Horse was awesome for me last year, and I built a great relationship with him, and as well as Coxie. So it's been a pretty seamless transition for the playing group, and he's added his sort of touch on the game plan and everything like that. And I guess over the preseason for me, he's just given me a lot of confidence in my role, and I felt like got a bit more midfield time as well, which is always good.
Who's your sort of biggest influence in the midfield that you sort of come to the club? You said obviously the age group is probably a little closer to yours, but is there anyone you sort of model yourself off that leads by example and sort of shows you the way?
Oh, I think coming to the club last year and seeing how Isaac went about it last year, and his transition into the midfield, and I guess some of the stuff, he won games off his own boot, but some of the other stuff, his contest and his defense, his hard running as well that we reward internally is he's a pretty special player.
Yeah, and it's a pretty phenomenal midfield that you get to play with. We don't have Errol out there at the moment, recovering with his leg, but you got the in and under types like Rowie, and then you got everyone else in there as well, mate. How do you find it in that midfield group? You got Brodie Grundy putting it down your throat, and you've sort of been able to elevate your game this year and sort of heard it while you've been doing a great job tagging, which we'll talk about as well, but you've been able to sort of elevate your offensive game as well. Has that been a bit of a focus for you this season?
Yeah, definitely. I pride myself on doing that role, and I guess this year just over the pre-season, I guess it started, just playing all against Chad, Isaac, Errol, Rowie. That does hold you in good stead when you come up against some of the best players. And I was lucky on the last weekend, the ball fell on my lap a few times, and I'm happy just to be contributing to the team.
Let's not sell yourself short, JJ. It wasn't just falling into your lap. You were hunting the footy and winning the footy, James.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it's good to get that clearance game going. And
who's been your biggest scalp so far on the defensive side? Who do you reckon? Who'd you like beating the most?
Oh, there's you come up against some good players, and I think the matchup against Lachie Neale was something I was really looking forward to going into the game, and he's probably one of the best players in the competition, and
two-time Brownlow medalist, JJ.
Yeah, so. It's always, I love going up against those sort of guys, and I'm a pretty competitive person.
For sure, and that comes out on field, mate. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, sort of, we think we might start creating a bit of a list for you, and get those players' names up there and really chalk the line through when you take their number. Is that sort of something you enjoy setting yourself when you do get that role? We like to call you Butter because you do get that role every week, mate. So. When you get that tagging role, is it something you just love, preparing for all week, and that sort of, gets you going for the week upcoming?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I said, I'm a very competitive person, and they're quality players for a reason, and they're going to take you to the footy as well. And if you can knuckle down and limit them as much as you can, and then go the other way, it's I feel like it's pretty valuable for the team.
Yeah, for sure. Is the tagging side of things something that's always been in your game, or has it been a skill that you've focused on developing of late? Yeah,
probably. No, I hadn't really done sort of any of it until sort of early last year when Horse came to me and said that this might be a good role for you this week, and it just sort of flowed on from there. And I feel like naturally I pride myself on my defense as well, and my offensive game is something I've been trying to work on over the pre-season and last year as well.
Yeah, for sure. They're having the ability to go both ways makes you such a valuable player to this team, mate. And that two-way running midfielder, you've got some, great examples, although you probably haven't played too many games with the skipper, Callum Mills, but he would be one who sort of, he sets the tone in that direction, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a superstar, and, I can't wait for him just to get a good run at it, and hopefully that comes sooner rather than later.
Speaking of both sides of the ball, Deeble, what do we love from midfielders?
We love a little bit of scoreboard impact.
And he loves a snag, JJ. So hopefully that can keep happening. Looking towards this year, obviously we've had been a bit unlucky when it comes to injuries, but how's the wider team feeling with respect to sort of coming out of the bye? We've jagged a win. What's the morale like down at Swans HQ?
Yeah, it's very good. It's always good to go into the bye off a win. It just makes the review a lot easier, and you don't have to dwell on it for as much. But no, everyone's excited. We come back in the club on Saturday and had a really good training session, and just had a normal week, and everyone's excited to get to Melbourne and take on North.
Yeah, for sure. And North do have a pretty impressive midfield, and they're definitely an improving team of the competition. You've got, the likes of LDU, some Jai Simpkins in the midfield as well. Have you sort of picked your target this week, mate? Who do you think you might pay some close attention to?
They've got some quality midfielders in there. They've got some guys off half-back as well, and I've been able to play at half-forward as well. So I don't really get to pick. It's I'll just
not yet.
I'll just do
not
it.
yet,
I'll just do
JJ.
what Coxie says.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, well, I wouldn't want to be playing you this week, mate, because you're in some ripping form. But it'd be always good to get down to Melbourne with the Melbourne faithful. We're both Melbourne boys, and must be pretty special to have that sort of nearly home support when you get down to Melbourne as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We love our fans, and they always come out and stick true. So yeah, they're awesome.
Personally, JJ, who have you got yourself situated with in terms of living with any Swannies players at the moment, or do you?
No, I lived with Taylor Adams early days when we were both new to the club. So
how was that?
That's sort of that was good. We'd never met each other before, and I guess it made it a bit easier. We were both sort of in the same position coming to a new club and everything. So. But yeah, now it's just me and my partner.
Yeah, very good.
Well, nice. Whereabouts are we talking? Sort of down the eastern coast with the rest of the boys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sensational. How good is it?
Oh,
Deebs worries. We're not going to dox him. Deebs worries about the humidity in Sydney.
Look, early in the year, JJ, when you're in the Bill O'Reilly stand and you've got that Arvo sun coming in. Yeah, it's tough watching conditions, but look, I shouldn't really be complaining. It's always good to get out to Sydney. We love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good, very good. Good stuff.
Very good. Well, that just about wraps us up, doesn't it, Mads? Thanks so much for your time, Jimmy. It's fantastic for you to give us some of your time, and thanks for coming on, mate.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Good on you, Jimmy.
Well, how good was that, guys? JJ live on the potty. It's great to get the access to the players, isn't it?
Sure is.
It's something that I think goes sort of not unnoticed, but I mean, we don't think about how good that is as much as we do, because you see so many other podcasts that just don't get the access that we do. So thank you to the Sydney Swans for being so forthcoming with that side of things. How was your time in the studio?
Fantastic. It's very different from the last studio, so it's going to be interesting watching it back.
It's bigger, a little bit more spacious.
A little bit more spacious, and I'm going to have to make a thumbnail with myself in it, which is going to be weird.
How good. Big graphics girl, Polly Cheese.
Big graphics girl.
This has been True Bloods. You've been listening to the #1 independent Sydney Swans fan podcast. We're #1 in your heart, and guess what? We're still #1 on the charts. We're speaking words of wisdom.
Up the potty.